Toon Chaos Zone is a new set coming out in, I believe it's 2 weeks time. 18th of June, I think it's coming out in NA. 19th, or is it 19th of June? I forget. It's one of those 2 dates. 19th in North America and 18th in Europe, because of course, time lag and time delay. 2 weeks from now. And it has quite a lot of good cards. Now the question ends up being, is this worth it? Let's have a look. In-game with border, I have a lot of tabs open to have a look at this set. And I've actually, the only real tabs I've got open, I've got a full set list. A display picture of the new rarity type. It doesn't do it justice, I don't think, but we'll get to that. As well as what I think are going to be some of the more sought after cards and reprints. And as you can see, there's a lot of them. So I actually think the set's going to be really good. 8 out of 10 Konami doing really well. Let's get to that. Now, as we know already, we've got the full set list. It has been leaked thanks to Fafa as well as some other people. We do know what we have coming out of those sets. We also know that it is a 60 card set. The booster packs will have 7 cards in them. A bit odd. Different weird number. It'll have 35 rares, 15 super rares, and 10 ultra rares in the set. And we know which rarity each card is coming in now. Bit weird that they went with rares again. I thought we were kind of done with having rares in sets because they removed them out from the main sets. I kind of figured that they would just get rid of them, just stick to supers and ultras like they did in Pendulum Evolution and other sets of that kind. But I think they might be changing up their supplementary sets in between now. It's a little bit weird, but hey, if it brings down prices of a few things, I'm all for it. So, with that being said, again, 18th of June release date, 19th if you're in America. Now, what we do know is that we have things like Blackluster Soldiers, reprints, and more supports. We have Fluffles coming in, Code Talker stuff, Chaos stuff, new Harpy, Magicians, Noble Knights, the Toons is the mainstay. There's a lot of stuff in this. But there are certain things that I think we need to call attention to. The first one is straight up the collector's rarity. Now, from the description that it has on the Yu-Gi-Oh fandom, and I don't know how accurate this will be, is that it's got like a rainbow-colored reflective pattern of a parallel rare on the attribute level, rank, and artwork, lore box border, and the card border. It's got this like silver to grey to blue kind of thing, as well as a splashy background. I still want to see like a real-life representation of this, because I actually haven't seen it yet. But it's, again, the implementation of yet another rarity type. I think what they might be trying to do is import some of the OCG stuff to the TCG. Now, if we can get the new gold rare that the OCG got, that would be fantastic. That I would pay for that. Easy. But we have a new rarity coming in. No idea where it's going to get socketed into this. It's probably going to be in the ultra rare slot. It'll probably be just a few cards. We'll see. We'll know more when we can open up more sets of this. But here's the full set list. So we have Toon supports, we have more Chaos cards, we have more Noble Knight cards, some Fluffle support, Fright First support, whatever you want to call it, some Code support, and then we have a lot of reprints. Like this down is like a majority reprints of cards that we've already got. This is already huge. Now, people already call out, yay, Pot of Extravagance, but we've known about Pot of Extravagance for a long time, right? But we have reprints for things like Pot of Desires, reprints of Toon World, reprints of Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. This thing was like 50 Australian at the moment for no goddamn reason. Reprints of Mudragon of the Swamp, reprints of a lot of Masked Hero gear. We've got Solid Soldier, another printing of Gamma. We have another printing of BLS Envoy of Beginning, Chaos Sorcerer, Sangan. This set looks really good just based off the reprints alone. And even some of the things like, someone's just pointed out, and we got a Stardust Dragon, but we also have Starlight Road going with it. And we've had this shortage of people like, I would like to get copies of Starlight Road. And even though it's a cheap card to buy, a lot of places haven't had them in stock because it's been so long since we've had it printed. Well, it's back. So this already, on a glancing look, looks really good. We'll get to the reprints later, but what I really want to draw some attention to is some of the OCG imports that we're getting of new cards and the new Chaos support. Now, straight up, we have to look at the best Chaos card in the room, right? Chaos Creator. This thing, oh boy. So all the Chaos cards have the same kind of running initial lineup, right? So it can't be normal summoned or set. You have to must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing one light and one dark monster from your graveyard. This is simple Chaos stuff. We understand this. if you control this card that was special summoned from the hand, you can target 3 banished monsters with different names, special summon one of them, and then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is where things start to get tricky. Finch has spotted it, though I think without Colossus, we don't have to worry about that just yet. But this is now making the banish pile, originally an area where you just couldn't access it. If things are banished, they're out of the game. It was removed from play for the longest time before we switched it to banished. It is now making it a resource that you can reclaim with effects such as this. So keep an eye on this card. I would not be surprised if it's probably the chase card of the set next to Extravagance, just because I think it's going to enable quite a lot when it comes to decks that naturally banish outside of Chaos that can now reclaim them, put them back on the board, put them back into the deck. The best part about it, and I think this is the reason it makes this so strong, is that you get to choose. You target 3 and get to choose which one you summon and which 2 go back into the deck. It's not random. So it makes it quite interesting in that fact that with no randomness, you can now socket this into combos because it's guaranteed what you're going to get. And I think that's where the mainstay power of this card comes in. So keep an eye out for this. If you pull one, fantastic. Chaos and Daedalus. Now I'm going to go through most of the Chaos stuff. Some of this is really weird. It's just to show that I think Chaos as an archetype isn't actually going to work, but some of the Chaos cards put in decks that are light and dark variant already is going to be very powerful. So again, with the Chaos lineup, when a field spell is face up on the field, not just you, your opponent as well. Your opponent cannot target light or dark monsters you control with card effects. This protects itself. Biggest thing with cards that offer protection is that they have this issue of not protecting themselves at the same time. And by that, it's the weakness in the shield, right? You punch that and some of the protection goes away. This protects itself as well. So already particularly strong on that. And again, if your opponent has a field spell, it works. And it's a passive effect. So if they go like a Mystic Mind to turn this off, doesn't work that way. You can target cards. You can target cards on the field up to the number of face-up field spells on the field. Banish them. You can target your own stuff. You can target the opponent's stuff, and it doesn't destroy. Not bad, but it does target. Okay. You can only use this effect of Chaos Daedalus once per turn, so you can do at most 2, at least 1. Pretty good stuff. Chaos Valkyria. People like saying this was Valkyrie support. It's not. You can banish one light or dark monster from your graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. So in the other case of the other ones requiring 2, this requires 1 because it is a level 4. If this card is banished, you can send 1 light or dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, but for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the same name as this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. This is the odd one. I'm unsure where you would use this. I think the only time you would use this card is when you're sending a light or dark monster that has a quick effect from the graveyard, or it's going to be accessed by a quick effect out of the graveyard during your opponent's turn. So it's a setup for interruption. I'd be very interested to see what you put in here. I'm not entirely sure what you would do. I mean, the initial thing that comes to mind is putting something like something-esque to Symbol Skeleton, and you put it there early with Babel on the field ready for next turn kind of thing, right? But I'm unsure as to where it would be used. Yeah, we'll leave that one there. It's definitely a case of maybe sending something there for next turn, but having that restriction that you can't use it for the rest of this turn does make it awkward. But at least it's for the rest of this turn, but you can use it on the next one at least. So long as it's a quick effect, you'll have some applications here. Chaos Space. This is an interesting card. Send 1 light or dark monster from your hand to the graveyard. Add 1 light or dark monster that cannot be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand with a level from 4 to 8 with a different attribute than the monster you sent. So if you send a light, you grab a dark. If you send a light, you get a dark. So if you send a light, you get a dark. If you send a dark, you get a light. I can English today. Nah. You can banish a card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished light or dark monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set. Place that monster on the bottom of the deck, and then draw 1 card. So the essence here is that it's going to replace itself with a draw and then also add a search. So it's almost like an engage-esque like card. So in that, if you have enough chaos cards to use as well as the requisite card to pitch, which you're going to get use of, because again, if you'll send a card that you'll want to banish to get an effect off. So as long as you combo it off properly, this card could end up being a +2, if not a +3, in a sequence of events. So good thing they actually put the restriction there. You can only use each effect of Chaos Space once per turn, so it doesn't become engage. But again, the fact that you can still use both and get some effects off like that, draw a card, search a card, get a card engraved that you particularly want there, I think that is going to be a very highly played card, at least 2 if not a 3 of. I think it would be a starter card, to be honest. Now this is the card I don't get. Eternal Chaos. This card doesn't do anything. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Send one light and one dark monster from your deck to the graveyard whose combined attack is less than or equal to that monster's. Also, for the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, you can only activate one monster effect in the graveyard. So it doesn't do anything to the card you're targeting. The card you're targeting is just adding a limiting factor, right? So this is strictly a combo piece, but it's a trap. And that's where I get confused. And if I look at most of the Chaos monsters' attack stats, they are relatively high. So you end up with this other situation of what exactly are you sending? I'm unsure where to use this. This is the weird one for me in the Chaos lineup. So, but definitely keep a lookout for Chaos Creator, because, oh boy, that is really good. Chaos Zone. This is the field spell that I think most of the times that people are going to be talking about when it says with Daedalus, when it comes to popping things off the board. Each time a monster is banished, place a Chaos counter on this card for each of those monsters. It's like Kyoto Waterfront, it gains multiple. I don't think there's an upper limit to this either. Once per turn, you can remove 4 or more Chaos counters from your field. You can then target one banished monster with a level equal to the number removed, special summon that target. So we're monster reborning from the banished pile, lads. Makes sense, it's Chaos, right? When this card on the field is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, Twin Twisters, you can add one light or dark monster from your deck to your hand whose level is equal then or equal to the number of Chaos counters that were on this card. So if you keep a high number on this card, your opponent's going to want to Cosmic Cyclone this, not Lightning Storm it, because you're just going to add off of it anyway. Not bad. Also note, not once per turn on the first effect, I believe. It's a soft once per turn, not a hard once per turn. So if you can flip to another Chaos Zone and get those counters rolling, you can search again. Takes a lot of work to pull that off, but hey, it's an option. That's all the Chaos stuff. Phenomenal stuff, really. Good. It sticks with its own archetype. It does the right thing. This is a reprint from the Dragon's Collide structure deck back in 2012. You're going to see that a lot with a lot of these cards. They're reprints from 6 to 8 years ago. But you put them all together, and you do get, aside from Chaos Eterno or Eternal Chaos, I'm not exactly sure what that's trying to do, some really good Chaos support, and I'd be very interested to see what this does. And as one Phoenix up there has been saying, Chaos Dragon Link apparently is going to be a thing, so big thing. Now, outside of this stuff, we have some non-archetypal cards being released in this set or reprinted, which we'll get to the reprints later on again. Gearbreed is one. Now, I've always looked at this card and gone, this is very, very interesting. Especially for something that runs equip spells, and a lot of them. So this is namely like a Noble Knights thing. During your draw phase, instead of conducting your normal draw, you can add one equip spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you can recycle or search. And if you control an equip spell, you can place a Fire Warrior monster or a Gemini monster from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck to draw 1. So basically it moves the draw phase to be later on in the combo. This is strictly Noble Knights. But it's a really interesting card that it's like, I get to search and then draw. So, engage. This is the card I'm really looking forward to. Super Magic Sword of Reptinius. At the start of the battle phase, you can only do this going second, obviously. You can change the equipped monster's battle position. If you do, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one monster. Here's your new Seraphonite. Going to be very awkward to use, however. The rest of the effect is kind of moot. You can only use this effect once per turn. Apply this effect depending on the equipped monster's battle position. This is a passive. If it's in attack, it can't be targeted with monster effects. And if it's in defense, it can't be destroyed by battle. So it's a good way to stall. I've actually looked at this as doing one of two things. One, in stun-based decks to put down a second Floodgate monster. Equip this to, border, and then battle phase, this thing change its battle position, summon Thunder King Ryo. However, Rick's got the other one. Guru Control. Slow decks that rely on multiple normal summons if you want to try and do like put in another engine next to Guru Control. But this is going to be one of those cards that I think gets played in a lot of stun-based decks, because now you're adding extra protection onto the monster that you need on board. Let's say you got an Inspector Border on board and you don't want it getting killed by battle because they've put something down that's got 2,000 or more attack. Oh, that's easy. Just flip it to defense. Because also note, it's at the start of the battle phase. So you get the choice of whether or not this is going to be an attack or defense when the battle phase starts. So if they suddenly put down, so like Special Summon Cyber Dragon battle phase, change to defense, can't be destroyed by battle. Continue. Now they can't just run it over in battle. So I think this is going to be a card that you're going to see a lot in a lot of anti-meta stun-based strategies to suddenly make a card that you need to remove unremovable, right? Good card. But just the fact that you're giving something an extra normal summon, already from there, it warrants some attention. How you doing, Frankie? Reprints. This is some amazing stuff here. Now, we haven't seen some of these cards that I'm about to list off since like 2014. So we have Light Pulsar Dragon coming back with a reprint. Hasn't been seen since Premium Gold set in 2014. Long time ago. It's now getting printed as a rare in Toon Chaos. Necessary reprint. Glad we're seeing a reprint of it. Dark Flare Dragon is the counterpart to it. Again, PGL Gold from 2014. Amazing. So just straight up there. Good reprint to see. Blackluster Soldier, Sacred Soldier. Again, we haven't seen this since Breakers of Shadow in 2016. Amazing reprint. It's about time. Keeper of Dragon Magic. We've seen 2018 Megatins, but it's got an amazing effect and it does see play in some of the other rogue strategies. It's a good casual card to have. Again, amazing reprint for the casual audience to see. Microcoder is probably one of those cards that for Code Talker based people, if you didn't get the promotional card from Legacy the Duelist Link Evolution, you're now going to be able to get it in Toon Chaos. Amazing. It's a good thing we've seen that reprint. Saphanoid Sky Prison, we haven't seen since the Megatons in 2017. It does see some occasional play in casual decks if you're doing some Rank 8 overlay plays. It's also just a decent-ish card to have as a Rank 8 if you don't have access to Dingirsu. Cool, but right next to it we've got Gossip Shadow. This thing isn't a really expensive card still. We saw it in the Battles of Legend Relentless Revenge set, getting a reprint. Fantastic. Proglio, this is a new Link 2. Or so it came out as the Link Evolution promotional card, so it had the same problem as Microcoder, but it has an effect that can summon back one of your Link monsters from your graveyard but banish it when it leaves the field. But there's no restriction to what Link monster you can go for as long as you've got this and a card that this points to. So you can trade off 3 Link materials worth of monsters for that Borrowload that got outed earlier. Not bad. Good to see that we're actually getting an actual print that we can actually acquire. Fantastic. Pot of Desires, seen as something that isn't a common. Now, this has been printed a few times, I understand it, but the last accessible print that we got it in was in 2019 as a common, and there are a lot of people out there that don't want to be playing with a common card. The last time that we had it printed before that where it wasn't a common was in the 2017 Megatins as an ultra rare, and I'm pretty sure that costs right now in Australian dollars something like $20, $25. So being able to get a copy of the card that isn't common but also has a rarity of some kind above it, like as a rare or an ultra rare, that will be easily accessible, fantastic. Good to see. And then the king of all cards, Pot of Extravagance. Let's just hope they don't short print this thing in the ultra rare slot, because you've got to remember you get 24 boosters in the box. There's only 10 ultra rares in the box, so you would hopefully pull 1 if not 2 from a box. Hopefully. Let's see what they've done on that line. But hey, you might actually be able to get easy access to Pot of Extravagance. Finally, it only took 18 months, 12 months too long to reprint a card that's sitting on something like $160 a copy. Thank God for that. So what do I think about this set? Buy it. Buy it. Buy it. I'm going to wait a tiny bit. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. I may, it depends on my financial situation. Let's put it this way. But I may get one of these because there's a lot of cards in here that I wish I had back in the day, or that I haven't got because they were printed before I came in and started playing, that I could get access to now. I actually think that a box will have equivalent value in this set, because, and as Maldog just said, if they've gotten rid of short printing, it means that every card will be an even distribution based on its rarity. So with that being said, if you've got 20, I believe it's 24 booster packs in a box, one can only hope. You get 7 cards in each set. Even if in those 7 cards per booster pack, if it was like 5 rares, 1 super, and 1 ultra, it should mean then, if you get rid of all short printing, you have the average of pulling 2 of each ultra rare and maybe almost 1.6 of each super rare. The only time I would consider saying don't buy the set is if they put the super and ultra rare in the same slot and they give you 6 rares behind it. If they pull that kind of garbage, then don't buy the set. But as long as they have 1 ultra and 1 super rare slot, guaranteed print, you're going to get a ultra and a super for each pack. Good set. Do your research. See if somebody's opened a box beforehand. But this set, a lot of good reprints, good support for Chaos. I can't comment on Toons. Just decent, all round good. So long as they spread out the rarities in the booster pack themselves over the 7 cards, go for it. I think this is a good set.